So when something goes wrong, a blackout, a storm, a financial setback, your family does not look at the government. Wow, some people actually look for the government. They look at you. Preparedness isn't about fear, guys. It's about leadership. A lot of people hear, oh, prepare, stay prepared, preparedness, and they automatically associate them words with fear. Let's get into it. And I'm officially checking in over here at Moments with Us. You all check in. Let us know where you're watching from and how you are doing. Of course, I'm checking in from Northern New Jersey. Back to the personal situation. Let's head into this Dollar Tree over in Maplewood. Stable milk is also A+. These past few years showed me. Hey family, welcome back to another video. It's been a minute because my voice been going, but we are officially back. This is Shauna, and I'm officially checking in over here at Moments with Us. You all check in. A little bit back. You all check in. Let us know where you're watching from and how you are doing. Of course, I'm checking in from Northern New Jersey, and we are expecting some more snow. But let's go ahead and talk about how you can become better prepared and how we can definitely work on some things too. Stay tuned. All right, fam. So before we jump into today's video, I want you guys to sit back. You don't have to answer the question. And if you do, that's great. But I want you guys to sit back and kind of think to yourselves, evaluate your household and everything, and just think about, what does leadership actually means at home? Like, who is taking charge? Who's not working together? Like, what does leadership really means if stuff was to unfold? So we got to talk about things and think about things in our own households. Like, what would this look like? So we got to think about, like, emotional stability. Who can we look for? Can we find it in ourselves? Will we have to be, taking on more of a load if you have children, especially small children? Because they're harder to get with the program. We got to work with them a little bit more to kind of get on the same page and get with the program. And then we got to think about, well, who can make the best decisions under stress? And if it's only you, and that if that's something that you need to work on, trust me, you want to start working on that now. And then also, when it comes down to preparedness, right, we are already planning ahead. That's the purpose of being prepared. And not overreacting, because if we overreact, the situation can basically, I'm not going to say unfold, but the situation can become worse than what it is, just like that. Just from a simple little overreacting, it can turn into some real shambles. Preparedness equals what? Emotional discipline. Because if we don't have ourselves together, then we can't handle a situation, appropriately. So, I don't know. What does that look like to y'all in your household? What is leadership when it comes down being prepared? What does leadership actually look like to you guys? With us, it looks like mom, of course. We have mom and dad, of course. But honestly, in my household, because I am blunt with y'all and I am honest, it would definitely be me, front and center, alongside with dad. But I'm going to be more clear-headed, just because in my household, every household different. Dad is more so like, I get with the program. When it happens, it happens. If it happens, then we'll take care of it then. But when it comes down to me, I like to stay, 10 steps ahead of any situations. So if that means having a stockpile of, shelf-stable foods, or making sure that our, safety bags are up and ready, making sure we have our first aid ready and available, making sure that we have our bug out or bug in bags, ready by the door, making sure our files are situated, making sure that I'm staying emotionally well, during the time of a emergency situation, making sure that I'm clear-headed to take care of if whatever was to happen. That's what it looks like in my household. I would be the one taking charge, like I said, because we have two different mindsets in the household as far as the adults. He's more so like the type, well, we'll take care of it when it happens. And I'm more so of the type, oh no, we need to prepare for it just in case it do happen. So let me know if y'all are like that too. Like if you have certain family members that's like, I'm not worrying about that right now. And if it happens, it happens. Versus you're like, oh, I want to be ready and available. Because me, honestly, when it comes down to stressful situations, if I'm not prepared, you know what I'm saying? Though I can still handle it, I don't know if I'm going to handle it to the best of my ability. So just have even the littlest things, having certain things, like I said, ready and available, that makes me feel more at ease. If a situation was to happen, at least I know, all right, we good. Like we're expecting more storms. I did have to go out to get some ice melt though, because I realized we ain't had no more. But do I have to go out and wait in long lines and do I have to necessarily go shopping? No, we good at home. Like we can avoid all of that. You know what I'm saying? We can avoid all of that. But like I said, I like to be ready and available and if I need to tend to a situation, I'll be okay to tend to that situation. So let us know what that look like in your household. So the modern reality in America, family, we got to think about some of the things that happen. I have to take my glasses off real quick. We got to think about some of the things that's been going on like over the past few years. We got to think about hurricanes that's been happening, across the coastal states. And then we got to think about the winter storms. Not even just the winter storms. The power grid is, believe it or not, the power grid is so darn fragile right now. We don't know what to expect. And then we have the short term. It's not even short term. I don't know. Let me know if y'all think when it comes down to the supply chain, this is a short-term problem or a long-term problem. But we do have issues with the supply chain, believe it or not. And then we got to think about just the overall economy. Like, what state is the economy in right now? You know what I'm saying? A lot of families are struggling. A lot of jobs are still, believe it or not, a lot of jobs are still being lost right now. How can we stay ahead of that? Being financially prepared, putting things away. Like I said, even if it's just being as prepared as just putting overall everything, that you can possibly think of that you use on a daily, putting those things away just if you reach any financial hardship. Of course, at least you will have it. We don't live in a very fragile country. I mean, that's what they say. I feel like it sometimes. But we do live in a complex country. We really do. I mean, it's just so much, It's just so much. That they say that it's not fragile. They say the USA is not a fragile country. I mean, some countries are way worse than ours, but at the same time, I feel like every day it's just something to make it a fragile country, if y'all know what I'm saying. So yeah, we really have to take a lot of things into consideration, because this is the reality of living in America, right? I mean, as having a family, this is the reality of it. Yes, we have to stay ahead of the game, and yes, we have to prepare. All right, so we already talked about emotional stability. If you're not overall emotionally capable of handling situations, trust me, things are going to fall apart faster than you can think of. So now let's talk about something called physical stability. Are you physically able to handle a situation? Yes, we are. Don't say no and don't start thinking about your back problems and your knee problems and all of that. Though it's very real. Because my back be on 10. Though it's very real. I'm the type of person to push through it. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm going to push through it. Okay? And overall, physically, what do we have on hand? So you got to think about, if you have your water on hand, what kind of food are you buying to have on hand? If your lights go out, what kind of lighting are you having? And your basic medical supplies, what is in your first aid kit? Do you have medication available? Do you have a second, I don't know. I don't think doctors can write them second scripts anymore unless it's like for an emergency situation, or if you request and then you got to pay out of pocket. But do you have your extra medication on hand? I mean, those are just some basic, when I say basic, it can't get no more basic than that. Those are some basic things to think about. Water, food, Lightning. If your lights go out, and basic medical supplies. Simple. Keep those things on hand and think about it. When you're done watching this video, go back or grab your pen and paper, take down this information. Think about those 4 things. Do you have it? You good? You got it? And if you do, then you're good. And if you don't, get to work. All right, so let's talk about our financial cushion. We got to think about our expenses. Maybe, I know in reality, most people can't keep up with their expenses for maybe the next month. But we really need to be thinking about the expenses from 3 to 6 months of our expenses, whether that's your rent, your mortgage, your car payment, your insurance, whatever it is. You got to think about, well, would I be good for 3 to 6 months? You know what I'm saying? If things was to slow down for me. Got to think about things like that. And then you got to think about your insurance. Insurance, we got to think about insurance review, whether it's your health insurance, life insurance in general. Those are things that you need to take into consideration and go ahead and review that. Because if things was to slow down, like I said, these are things that you will need. And your small cash revenue. Do you have cash put to the side? Are you going to put cash to the side? Or money in general, because, everything's the digital world nowadays. It's the digital world nowadays. But you do need to put a little extra to the side to take care of these things. If things was to what? Slow down. So this is big. This is what a lot of families fail to realize, that they need to have this if it's going to work, if a situation was to happen. Communication. Yeah, communication. So think about having things like an emergency contact plan, which would include meetup points. If you was to lose, like your phone line or whatever the case may be, think about those meetup points. That includes your emergency contact plan. That's really much it. If you go into your cell phone, you're so used to calling people, and now you don't remember the number, because once you store the number, you don't dial it. You just press the name and boom, you don't know nobody's number. Get your little book, piece of paper, whatever it is, little index cards, whatever. Take it back old school. Write those numbers down. Write those addresses down. Write those emergency contacts down. That just about sum it up. We got to stay calm. We got to have age-appropriate conversations with the kids. Like I said, my household range of different ages. So we have, Keon, he's about to be 3. So we have a 2-year-old, 13, 14-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and a 11-year-old. 13, 14, 5, 11. Okay, yeah, there we go. So those are different ages. So even if, let's say, I slack a little bit, you know what I'm saying, I'm too busy handling whatever, because that's a lot of kids, y'all. I think 5 is a lot. We have the older ones who can then step in and kind of, help out with the younger ones in certain situations. But still, at the end of the day, when you are the leader of the household, or the adult of that household, you are the leader of your tribe, then you want to make sure at all times you are always together. That's the reality of it. Like I said, having those age-appropriate conversations about why it's important to listen and follow through. And that one time I have to, y'all, if you got kids, I should only have to talk to you one time, by now. Those are important things to talk about with your children. Even at 2 years old. Well, he about to be 3, like I said. Even at 3 years old, they can understand. They can communicate very well. Not all kids the same, but at that age, typically, okay, right? Depending on the situation. But typically a 3-year-old, even though they have their moments and their attention span is like this, they'll be like this and then like this, they can communicate very, very well. Leadership is clarity. Follow through, lead forward, and keep it moving. Okay? And then you'll be good. At least we pray so, right? So here's what it falls down to as well. Your preparation, yours, yes, you, determines your family's emotional temperature. Prepared leaders, they don't panic, they don't blame, and they don't freeze. You heard it. It's important. Prepared leaders. They do not panic. So all that, going to the store, buying last minute stuff, got to panic buy, got to get this, get that, and then you don't even need it. You don't panic. We don't blame, and we do not freeze in a situation that can't afford us to be freezing up on. We can't just seize up in a situation. We act calmly. We proceed appropriately. And we move forward. At the end of the day, you don't prepare because you're scared. You prepare because you care, right? Well, y'all, that's the end of what I had to share with you guys today. Hopefully it was helpful to the next person. Make sure y'all comment one area that you guys would love to improve. Honestly, out of this whole video, the main thing that I would love to improve on when it comes to my family personally is communication. Everybody needs to be on the same page. I feel like that's where the disconnect happens. And I feel like that's where the disconnect happens, is everyone not being on the same page. And honestly, with everyone not being on the same page, your plan, even if you have a plan, that plan can fall apart fast because everyone is not, on the same page. If it's not aligned, then something is bound to mess up. It only takes one thing, and then your plan can totally fall apart. So what we need to work on is communication over here in my household. So let us know one area that your household can definitely improve on. If you are new here and you did enjoy today's video, all you have to do is subscribe for the next episode, just like that. And if you've been here before, of course, thank you so much for coming back. Until next time, y'all, this is Shauna, and I'm officially checking out from Moments with Us. You all stay prepped, stay blessed, stay safe, and most of all, remain beautiful queens and kings. Love you all, and God bless. Peace out.